Welcome to the Girl Dad Show.
Welcome to the Girl Dad Show, a professional parenting podcast. Each month, I interview entrepreneurs, leaders, and professionals who are balancing parenthood, life, and profession in the hopes to learn what it takes to be an amazing professional parent. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining another episode of the Girl Dad Show. I am so excited to tell you today is season 2 finale of the show, and I'm so excited that it is a Girl Dad Talk. I want to share with you all the things that I'm working on right now and where I'm at currently, but most importantly, I want to talk to you about just season 2 as a whole and where I've come from, and just closing out this season and sharing with you a little bit about the process and where I'm at and the plan for the Girl Dad Show moving forward. So let's get right into it. I am very, very excited to say that I have finally announced Owners Club, and it's been really embarrassing and hard to swallow the pill of being so delayed on this project. And I had basically thought that I would have launched it almost 4 weeks ago, and I still have another 4 weeks before I launch it. So I'm like 8 weeks behind, and it is becoming quite the expensive project for me because not only am I spending money to build the product and the project and the business, I'm also not able to generate more revenue through consulting because I'm spending my time building the project and the product. So it's been kind of a double-edged sword over the last 8 weeks, definitely going double into my budget that I'd forecasted for it. So it's been a very painful experience. But I will say a couple of cool things that have happened since then. A huge influencer that I follow, a business influencer named Sam Parr, he's a host of the My First Million podcast. I love listening to him, but he announced his launch of his community group that he started called Hampton. And it was a really fun episode to listen to because, one, I think that it was really great to see someone that I admire and I look up to as a business person also share that it took him a lot longer to build this community than he thought it would take, and how proud of it he was, and kind of just hearing his personal anecdotes about building it and why he's building it. And everything rang so true to me. Like the validation was there, and it just made me feel so good that I was building something that I resonated with, and I look forward to joining his group and community. But also just like further validated that the need of this product and service was there for the many reasons that he stated. Obviously, my group and community is much more focused on, service business owners and small business owners that are not quite there yet, but are looking to grow and want to grow and get there. So the niche is different, but it is really, really great to see another person that I admire launch their business, and then also to get to hear him talk about it and talk about his struggles in getting it launched and how hard it was, because it definitely made me feel a lot better about being delayed. I pride myself on being a pretty mechanical operator, and this has been one of the most challenging things that I've had to build. Building a community is a lot harder and more sophisticated than I thought it was going to be, and it takes a lot of nuance and understanding and people management, psychology, just a lot of stuff that's kind of mixed in. So it's been a really fun experience, but very, very excited to have officially announced it. And now I feel a lot more confident that by the time you listen to this, we will have launched Owners Club officially, and you can check it out. It's www.owners.club. And if it hasn't launched and I'm still failing and I'm delayed again, at the very least, you can go to the landing page now and watch a video about what it is and subscribe to the newsletter and the email list to get notified of its launch. So we've got a lot of stuff put in place to at least start housing interest. But that being said, that's kind of the big update on where I'm at professionally. My full service business is doing incredibly well. We wrapped up our financial models for the year. That was also a little bit delayed. We had some issues with our chart of accounts and how we were tracking our bookkeeping and our ledgers. So essentially, I wanted to reorganize our chart of accounts so it was more appropriate to what we have learned about the industry and the business. And there's like 3 revenue streams that we have identified are key components to the business. And I just wanted all of the chart of accounts to look more appropriate to that. So we built out the new models. We got everything set up. And we have our new strategic plan that we've made in January. And we're off to the races. And so We were able to kick that off last week and start buying trucks again and getting back into the growth mode and figuring out what that looks like to spend money and how much we want to spend for what cost and how much we want to grow before we spend the next batch of money. And all of those plans have been finally formulated after 3 months of hard work. And we're ready to execute on the growth strategy and tactics there. And it's looking very, very promising. Our first 3 months have already exceeded our growth trajectory and projection. So we're looking to see a pretty solid year, I think. And that's very, very exciting because the economy has been really rough on all my other businesses. And it's been really hard to navigate the changes in the world right now. And I think everyone is just scared. Everyone is overall kind of muted and scared and a little bit more reserved with their cash flow. I think that there's a huge disparity between what it felt like in the last 2 years versus what it feels like now. There was a huge excess of money and surplus and stuff, right, in the last 2 years with just the influx of money that was being pumped into the economy to stimulate it and keep it growing during the pandemic and the lockdown. And I think that as the inflation has gone up and we started to see the interest rate hikes, and then now we're seeing wars and we're seeing all these different catastrophic events happening globally with just a lot of movements, the bank failures, and just a lot of crazy stuff is happening. And I'm not smart enough to tell you exactly what's going on or how it works and how to navigate it. But I will tell you that it scares me. It scares me as well. And it makes me very nervous about how to navigate the next steps and how to navigate the future and how to navigate money and cash flow and where to invest in and where to save and how to ride this wave. And so I empathize with all the clients and all the businesses and all the partners and all the employees that I have, and just understanding that it is a weird time to be in business and it's a weird time to be alive in general. And the one thing that I always say, even during times of uncertainty and chaos, and this is the one thing that I keep trying to permeate through the businesses that I own and the clients that I have, that I coach, and just also myself, and telling myself every day, focus on what you can control. The world may be going to shit. It may not be. It may go downhill there. It might go uphill here. This may happen. That may happen. There's a lot of things that are moving, and it's really, really hard to figure out how AI is going to impact the world and our jobs, and it's going to be hard to figure out how the inflation and the interest rates are going to impact our jobs, and the war, and just all these things that are happening. There's just a ton of stuff. But what I can say is, you should know about it and you should read about it and you should stay aware of it. And so you can saturate your brain with it and just have the brain be able to compress it and marinate it in its subconscious. I think that that's really powerful. I like to make jokes that, I just need to shove it into my supercomputer and then let it process overnight or over weeks, over months. But I think it's important to inject your brain with some information and make sure that you have an awareness of what's going on, because you don't want to be oblivious. But I do think that your conscious brain, the brain that's focusing on the day-to-day, you need to focus in times of uncertainty even more so on the things that you can control. And it's this concept of focus on leading activities, not on lagging indicators. You need the lagging indicator to set a goal. So let me say, for example, my goal is to lose, 100 pounds in 2 years. Maybe let's be realistic. I'll do a realistic goal. I want to lose 30 pounds in the next year. That would be a realistic goal for me. I would love to lose 30 pounds. I weigh 180 right now. I'd love to be 150. I'd be happy with 160, but 150 would be an amazing goal. And I think that a lot of people will start harping on that goal, measuring themselves and doing the lagging indicators every single week, right? And so you do all the things that you think you're supposed to do, and that'll help you get to your goal. But the reality is that if you keep harping on that goal as an outcome, as a lagging indicator, it's hard to really, really get strategic and get your mind to focus in on performing really well on specific things. And so the owner's manual is really based on this concept. The whole framework that I've built for businesses to scale up is based on this concept of have the lagging indicator of losing 50 pounds for your business figuratively in 1 year. But let's come up with all the activities that you need to do day to day, week to week, month to month, that you think will help you get to that goal. And let's just focus 90% of our time on that. And then once a month, once a quarter, let's check on the lagging indicators. That's literally what I recommend. And that's what my owner's manual is based off of. That's essentially what it is. And it's such a powerful thing to do that, because mentally you can't really control what's going to happen. you can obviously make an impact. You can become an activist. You can get prolific in the political space or in the environment, or create a voice. And I'm not saying you can't make an impact that way, but the reality is that your mind can't change what's going to happen in the world. And by festering on all the what ifs and like the what nots and what coulds, you end up putting yourself into a weird space mentally. And what you need to focus on is not wasting too much energy letting your mind go down these weird rabbit holes that may or may not happen, because it's infinite. It's infinite, and it's draining. And I'm not saying be blind or naive, and I'm not saying stay oblivious. I'm just saying that mentally speaking, there's things that you're going to sabotage yourself for if you focus too much on the what ifs of what coulds and what could happen. So my recommendation to all my clients and all my businesses right now is figure out what your goal is, figure out where you want to head, regardless of the world. And come up with 5 or 10 things that we could do right now that we can really focus on and do those 5 or 10 things really, really well. And that's really, really important to do for me, especially because I've been combating this fear and this uncertainty really hard over the last few months. And it's been very challenging for me because I have, some businesses that are doing good and they're progressing well. And then I have some businesses that are actually not well and having a hard time with this turn of events. The stuff that used to work is not working as well. And I have businesses that are starting to falter a little bit, and really helping them see how we can readjust the things that we're working on now, so we can switch those things to see how we can get to the same goal, and really focusing on those leading activities. So that's what I've been really doing. And that's my recommendation to all of you guys that are navigating this same journey with us in this world of ours and this uncertainty is focus on what you can control and, understand the world and, don't be oblivious to it. But, really try to spend the vast majority of your time not wasting energy and mind share on things that may or may not ever happen, and focus on what you're trying to do in your life and really trying to figure out those micro things that you could do to really generate positive impact and movement forward. Test, iterate, try new things, keep trying new things until you find something that generates a result. Optimize, test, find new things and keep doing that until you keep getting to your goal. And then periodically on a more macro scale, adapt and try to find a way to achieve it. So that's kind of where my head is at. I hope that process and that system of like focusing on leading activities helps you. And that mindset shift is really important for me and the businesses that I work on and the clients that I coach. And I hope that it helps you on your executive or professional or entrepreneurial journey. And also it helps you on your parenting journey. I feel like there's so many things that are corollary to parenting as they are for business. And like, for example, like I'm coaching Lily's soccer team now, and it's super fun and it's super challenging. I have a tough set of girls to work with, and they're getting more and more comfortable with me, and they talk back to me and they want to play. And, half of them aren't really in it to win it. And so they're more focused on they're 6 years old. So, I'm not saying it's bad or good, but I'm super competitive and I like to win and I like to be good and I like to be great. And I think I've accidentally given that sense of competitiveness to Lily, and I could see her getting frustrated with, being on this team with some of the girls that are not so focused and wanting to win. Like their desire isn't to win. Their desire is to have fun and meet friends and try something new. And so it's really interesting to play this part and role in my kid's life. And I don't want her to be disenfranchised from soccer because this is the ecosystem that I put her in. But I also don't want her to limit my abilities to, be a coach and engage with the rest of the team at whatever varying levels they have. And so it's been a weird struggle for me because part of me wants to coach even more aggressively and use my skills to engage them and talk to them and see if I can inspire them. But at the same token, I don't know if that's where I'm supposed to do or where I'm at as a volunteer coach for a 6-year-old girls soccer team. So I talked to my wife a lot about this, and we started talking about where we wanted to go and what does this mean and what does this mean to be a parent and what does this mean to volunteer and be an influence and impact to other kids in our neighborhood at this age. And we realized that it's not our say to say one way or the other of what this should be for everybody else, but we can dictate what we want for ourselves. And so what we're going to do is send her to a summer camp, soccer camp this year, and see if she really is interested in being more competitive and more aggressive and training harder by sending her to a specialized camp with other, girls her age that are more serious about it. And then if she likes it and enjoys it, then we'll go from there and most likely put her into a league that is a little bit more competitive. And so just controlling what we can do. And then so now I'm thinking, okay, so if Lily is actually serious about being good and she wants to be good and she wants to be better at this, I don't really know what that looks like per se, and I don't know how to best navigate that except for the plan that I just told you. But what I can do now is start to incorporate sessions of practice with her. And so what I'm going to do is try to find daily and weekly activities that I can do with her to incorporate hand-eye coordination, leg work, dribbling, just work on some core skills and see if I can't help her optimize her soccer abilities so that she has the best chance to be successful at this camp. And then that's really it. And I know it's a really interesting way to parlay, business coaching, for business owners that are making, millions of dollars a year and, navigating an uncertain global climate. And then I'm kind of saying the same process applies to parenting, but it's absolutely true in my opinion. And I think that, it's really about the mental mindset about, focusing on what you can control. And that's really what I'm trying to say. And I think that there is an absolute corollary between the two things. And I think that you can do both things, both for business and for parenting. And it's actually just healthier for you mentally. Why would you want to worry about something that you can't control? Why would you want to worry too much about something you can't control? And I think that it's super powerful to just remind yourself that, understanding what your goals are is super important in defining what success looks like for yourself and for the environment. And is it better to control it or insert yourself or extricate yourself, and having empathy in the community and all of those things, right? That's all strategy and understanding it, right? Once you have that identified, figure out the activities that you can do. So in this case of soccer, we're going to practice, me and Lily, one-on-one, daily and weekly on small activities leading up to this summer camp. And then the summer camp is going to be the next activity. The leading activity is to test for those competencies and those interests, right? Does she want to be more competitive and does she want to level up? And then that will then lead to the next activity of, okay, she wants to take this more seriously and we can go, join a more serious league and really become a soccer family, I guess, for her. And the decision can be made that way. So I hope that I've defended my point about this process of focusing on leading activities over lagging indicators well, and you understand it. So that's basically kind of where I'm at with my professional journey. I am super excited about being able to go on a cruise, Disney cruise, in a couple of days with my family. I have learned a lot this week that there's going to be really bad Wi-Fi on the Disney cruise. It's not like other cruises. It's just bad Wi-Fi. And so I'm expecting not to be able to work. And I found that out on Sunday, and it really just crushed my week because I don't have enough systems built for some of the businesses that I have to just depart like that. And so it made me do a lot of the work this week. And so I've slept very little this week, just getting all the work done next week now, after learning that fact. And it's really helped me to understand that I need to start taking some of my own medicine and figuring out how to leverage more systems and more of my superpowers to delegate and systematize just different components of my businesses and my professional life. And so I think when I come back, I'm really going to rethink how I operate and find ways to delegate or remove things that are not in my superpower or that I'm the roadblock in. And so it's been really good to go through this struggle and pain to realize that even though I'm coaching, a lot of these clients through this process of systems building and freedom, essentially, time freedom, I also need to work on it as well. And so I need to learn to take my own medicine. That's been really eye-opening and helpful for me this week. But I'm super excited to go on this cruise with the kids. It's been a really long time since I feel like we've done something together like this as a family, and definitely a very long time since we've done something as a family with no internet connection. So it should be a really interesting trip. So that's kind of where we're at personally and what we're headed to doing. and looking forward to recapping with you on what that looks like. And then just to kind of close out today's episode, I wanted to give you a quick update on my professional journey, because that's what I decided to do in season 2, is to share with you my professional journey as I go about my days. I realized that, after season 1, I learned a ton about interviewing guests, about why I was doing it, learning from other parents, successful parents, and really understanding, why I was doing this and what it was for. And finding myself essentially as a host and as a podcaster. And then season 2 has been really about like sharing my journey and why I'm doing this with more people. And so I've integrated interviews and my Girl Dad Talks, which is just me sharing my journey. And it's been explosively helpful for me. I feel like it's, if I had to list 5 things that I loved about the last year and kind of a retrospective of what I've done in season 2, is that me talking to myself and framing up my updates of what I've been doing and working on and how I think about business has helped me so much in growing personally and professionally. Just the idea of having to stop and just like look at myself and talk to myself about what I'm doing and being real about it and being honest and transparent and descriptive and prescriptive has been incredibly therapeutic, both emotionally, but also professionally. It's helped me frame up my strategy, helped me frame up my processes and how I'm going to navigate the next steps, identifying the problems that I'm currently feeling, whether that's emotional, mental, or logical. It's been an incredible journey. And so even if you don't, want to share as much as I do, you should definitely try this. It's pretty interesting. Just literally like do a selfie mode video and just record yourself and talk to yourself every week. And just talk about how you're feeling and how you're doing, like you're talking to a friend, and just try to recap where you're at mentally, emotionally, and professionally, and just see how you're doing, because it is unbelievably good exercise. I'd say that it's been one of the most weirdest things that I found out that has helped me be more successful in all capacities. And so super, super excited about that in season 2. But to wrap up season 2 finale and just talk to you about like what I learned a ton about myself. I learned a ton about my business. I learned a ton about where I want to go and what I want to do. I've also learned that podcasting is very, very hard, and building a show is very hard. And I have questioned myself quite a bit this year on why I'm still doing this. And I keep coming down to the fact that I do like it, and I love it because it helps me personally. I will tell you, in transparency, it's like a very slim overage, right? It's like 55, 45, 45% of the time I'm like, this is not worth it. I'm sharing so much about myself, and I'm giving so much transparency into what I'm building and doing. And I don't even really know why, right? I don't really care if people know or don't know. But I also don't care if they know, right? And so I guess it's not a big deal. And I think hopefully if it helps someone someday, maybe in a few years when I retire and someone watches all these videos and they go, oh, that's how he built his financial freedom. That might be helpful for someone. That could be cool to know that I've been able to impact someone else, or at least inspire them to go try to do this for themselves. But I definitely struggle with it a lot in season 2, because it is very time consuming and is very expensive. And it is very frustrating to have all these things that are almost a nuisance or in the way. And I always come back to when I do these things and I walk away going, oh yeah, that was awesome. I totally know why I'm doing this. And then interviewing someone awesome and like being inspired for the week, I'm like, oh my God, that was awesome. And it always offsets it, but the offset isn't that much. And it's been really, really interesting to go through season 2 again and really think through, the Girl Dad Talk and the parenting interviews. And then now, like, why am I doing this? Is it still the same reason? Is it still to learn more about how successful parents, raise a family and professional career? Is it more therapy for me and just kind of like talking through my businesses and my emotional and mental state? Is it for someone else to, to hopefully learn something from or be inspired by and try to gain knowledge and direction? I'm not really sure anymore about like exactly what the purpose is in season 3. I will say that. I feel like season 1 was very clear. I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn more from really smart, successful people that were parents. Season 2 is I was trying to figure out like how this would make me happier and more successful. And I achieved that. I definitely think it helped me. It was therapeutic. It was very, very strategic, and it was very formative. But I think in season 3, it needs to be more than that for me. And so I am going to do season 3, and I probably will do this for the rest of my life because I do love it a lot and I do enjoy it. It's just in full transparency, it's not as much as like 90-10. It's like 60-40, 55-45. It's pretty close to being one way or the other on this. And so I really hope that in season 3, my goal is to really figure out how to monetize it. And I don't necessarily need to make a lot of money, but I definitely don't want it to cost me any more money. And so that is my goal in season 3. So season 3, you'll see a lot of new tests that we're going to be running. There's going to be a lot of things that you may wonder why I'm doing and what that may look like. But I encourage you to message me and text me or give me feedback on the social media comments about like this or that, or give me ideas. And because I'd love to know what you think about the tests, but I'm going to do a lot of tests this year to figure out how I can grow engagement, grow distribution, and then start getting sponsors and advertisers formally. I think I could do it like grassroots and ad hoc because I have a good network and, you know, I have discipline in like hitting the phone and like doing those reps. But I'd love for it to be like a scalable way of generating sponsorships, right? And so really figuring out my niche and maybe even leaning more into the parenting aspects of the podcast because I feel like I need to pick one or the other. I think my messaging is really hard, and it's very hard for most people to understand because, you know, on one end, it's like parenting, on one end, it's like very business driven. And so it's just like, I don't really know if people care about both quite as much as I do. And so maybe I need to double down on that, or I need to like lean more on the other. But you'll see a lot of these, you'll see me testing this a lot in season 3 is my point. So that's kind of where I'm at with season 2 and where I'm headed with season 3 about the podcast itself. And then what did I learn from season 2's podcasting? I learned so much. I learned the guest list in season 2 was amazing. Season 2 was amazing. I mean, just the guests that like even season 3, like my guests in season 3, it's so fun. Like I'm like 60% of my guests, I'm no longer pitching my friends and or my network. I'm getting pitched, and it's like crazy, and it's so exciting to like be able to like talk to these marketing executives about why their founder or their CEO should be on the show. And it's like really, really fun, and being able to like ask these questions that, you know, normally would be awkward, but because they're asking to be on my show, I get to ask them like, what was your childhood like? You know, tell me about what your big struggles and tribulations were. Why do you think that way? What made you learn these values? And then I'll tell you if you can be on my show. And it's just a really funny experience to be at a stage where I get now pitched for people to join my show. And it's just so great to be able to meet so many beautiful minds and hearts. I mean, these are some amazing parents. I mean, they're super successful and they're super smart, and they care a lot about this stuff. And I'm really blessed for, you know, that experience of season 2. The last part of season 2, I would say that more than half of my guests that I've been able to get have been outside of my network and literally pitched to me, which has been really, really weird and fun experience the last quarter. And so I'm hoping that that'll carry over in season 3 as well too, which hopefully should give me more time and bandwidth and energy to focus on engagement and distribution, right? And so that's my hope, but it is a very exciting thing to learn in season 2. The other thing that I learned in season 1 was that parents are all struggling. They all don't know what they're doing. They're all just trying to figure it out, and they're navigating the world as best they can. That was kind of like the general theme that I learned. You know, there's really no right or wrong way to build a business and build a career while parenting. And some people outsource, some people slow down their career, but inevitably it's basically this juxtaposition of time and focus, right? And that's kind of what I learned in season 1. Nothing that's, you know, eye-opening or revolutionary, but it was super insightful for me. Season 2, it was really fun to like really dig into some more of these questions about like what they're building and why, and really figuring out the life journey that impacts. And it's so fun to like dig a little bit deeper into the person about like their childhood and what led them to start this business, or, you know, take that promotion, or what it's like to sacrifice kids for work or work for kids, and really understanding where those value sets came from. That was really, really fun in season 2. And in season 3, I'm going to try to like dig even further into figuring out like, you know, what makes people successful, you know, what makes parents that choose to be parents and start a family, but also, navigate a successful career. Like, I got to think of more questions that I want to ask that are going to dig even deeper into that, because it's really, 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 really varied. It's very interesting and varied how people choose to do that. But there are commonalities that I've noticed about these people that are choosing to do this thing and have navigated, societally successful careers while building a family. And I want to find that out, because I think that that's really interesting to me, because I think those are my people. And if I can figure that out in season 3, that'll be really, really cool for me, because then I could more easily identify my peoples and add to my networking friends. And so I'm very excited for that in season 3. But I learned a ton in season 2. I will say my favorite episode, the 2 things that I took away in season 2 that I absolutely love and still use today are Pete Espinoza's "Be a Fountain, Not a Drain." One of the best life lessons I've ever got from a guest. I still use it to this day. It's literally changed the way I live. I'm always looking at people as fountain and drain now. And I'm always trying to look at myself as a fountain or drain. Am I feeding this person, or am I pulling from this person? And are people pulling from me or feeding me? And I've been very visceral about, identifying it and removing people that are drains. And it's been an amazing, amazing interview. If you didn't watch it, go back and watch Peter Espinoza's. It was an amazing interview, and literally life-changing interview. The other one was Jared Montz. He had a really good one that I use to this day as well, where it was like, you have an accident, and then the first thing you say is, "Was anybody hurt?" And then, yes or no. And then, was it an accident? Yes or no. And then if nobody's hurt and it was an accident, then no big deal. And you just say no big deal and you move on. And we have literally implemented that in our house immediately as well. And we still use that to this day. And it's such a good framework and mentality. And it just teaches resilience and humility, and it teaches thoughtfulness and empathy. It's like when you really unpack what he did there with that framework and step, it's just like massively sophisticated and complex, done in such a simple way. And I absolutely love it so much. And so you can hear me do that with my kids a lot too. And obviously they're not at the point where they're repeating it back to me, like Jared has his kids, repeating it back to him, because I think he's done it at an earlier age. But I'm hoping if I stick with it for another 6 months to a year and just make it part of our lives, like I already have in the last 6 months, they will also be repeating that. And I hope that they carry that mindset through the rest of their lives, because it's such a good way to live. It's such a good mindset and good way to live. And so another great episode to watch. And I hope that you go check that back out in season 2. But season 2 finale episode. It is so weird to be talking to you guys at the end of this journey. It's such a wild and long journey, and I can't thank you enough for being on this journey with me and all of your support and help. I'm going to run a lot more tests in season 3, and I'm going to take a 6-week break. So I'm going to go on a vacation for about 6. No, I'm not going to. Sorry, I'm going on a podcast break for 6 weeks. I'm still working on the podcast all through those 6 weeks. We're going to do a rebrand. We're going to do a refresh. We're going to do a new website. We're going to have new backlog of content, all this other stuff. It's going to be super exciting. We have a dizzying array of tests that we're going to run. It's going to be amazing. Season 3 is going to be dynamite. But you will get a break. You will get 6 weeks of no Girl Dad Show for 6 weeks. And then we will relaunch on Father's Day. And season 3 will kick off on Father's Day week, and we will go back into season 3 with new rigor and vigor, and it'll be very exciting. And I hope to see you guys on season 3. And in the meantime, please, please, please share, like, comment, and give it a 5-star on whatever you're listening to. It helps me so much more than you realize, and I just really, really would appreciate it so much if you could support the podcast and show just by liking it or sharing it with another parent or business owner. Thank you again for all of your support in season 2. I love you. I thank you. And I'll see you in season 3. Thank you again for listening to another episode of The Girl Dad Show. If you enjoyed listening to this episode, please take a moment to give us a review on your podcast service. These reviews help us grow a lot more than you know.